Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk About Safety. I'm your host, Ruben Murray, and joining me today from a secret, undisclosed pharmacy location, we have Jana Taylor, Risk Management Coordinator with Christus St. Vincent. And Jana, the topic today, I believe, is about the importance of labeling and storing medications securely. Why? First of all, thank you for joining today. It's great that you're able to spend a few minutes with us. And tell me why this is an important topic.
Well, Ruben, thanks for having me today. First of all, I am your biggest fan.
I get that from everybody, Jana, so thank you.
You're welcome, Ruben. So part of being a highly reliable organization is being preoccupied with failure. And what that means when it comes to making sure medications are labeled and stored securely is that we have processes in place to help minimize the possibility of human error when giving medications.
And so, I mean, that sounds important, obviously, but I'd love to have some examples. Can you give me an example of what that might look like, say, in the inpatient setting?
Well, Ruben, I'm glad you asked that. So in the inpatient setting, all our inpatient units have medication rooms that are locked with Pyxis machines inside. And those Pyxis machines generally keep our medications safe. And so when nurses take medications out to give medications to patients, they follow their 7 rights of medication safety and withdraw the medications. And when they take the medications to the patient's room, sometimes the patients aren't there. What are we going to do with all these medications? Are we going to spend 30 minutes putting them back on the Pyxis? A better idea is to store them in the inpatient bins in the medication room. So they're all labeled by room number. They should have a Ziploc plastic bag. You take a patient label, put that over the Ziploc bag, put those medications in there, and now we know who those medications belong to.
All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. So what about an example in the outpatient or ambulatory setting?
Well, Ruben, in an ambulatory setting, first of all, the medication order is verified in the EMR. Then a patient label is printed. And after they have that patient label printed, they take that with them to where the medication is prepared to make sure they have that medication labeled securely with the medication, the dose, and the route written right on that patient label.
Gotcha. All right. So as I think about the different healthcare settings, you know, Jana, the procedural setting, whether it's the OR or one of our procedure areas, you know, that's always such a flurry of activity there and everything, and certainly a lot of medication exchanging hands there, if you will. Give me an example of how what you're talking about comes into play in our procedural settings.
Well, for procedures, when medications are drawn up, they need to be labeled on that syringe with the medication information, and when available, locked in the Pyxis. But absolutely labeled, because you don't want to have a syringe with some unknown medication just laying around in a procedural area. That can be just a terrible accident waiting to happen. So after they label those syringes, wherever they may be, whether they're at bedside or they're at the Pyxis, after they're used, they're disposed of properly after every procedure, or also at the end of the day. Sometimes people will, providers will go around and make sure that all the medications are gone. And a big shout out to pharmacy. They actually do a great job locating medications that were left out to make sure it's an integral process, like that extra check. They've come across medications and they dispose of them properly as well.
Great. So, you know, you talked earlier about how we're obsessed with failure, you know, the idea of, you know, learning from our mistakes. Can you give me an example of a time when maybe one of these procedures wasn't followed and what the outcome was?
Well, I can tell you that we have had instances where, very rarely, I need to say, but
Right.
enough to where we want to be preoccupied with, again, what could go wrong. So there was a medication left at bedside for a patient and it was not appropriately used. And so that just really drives home that need to make sure those medications are secure, that they're labeled, because we are human beings and we are fallible. I hate to say that about myself, but there we are.
True for all of us, Jana. Well, so thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us today. Any last words for our audience?
Well, just to wrap it up, we come together as an organization to make sure that our medications are labeled and stored securely. And we just I can't drive home enough the importance of that. And I want to thank everybody in our organization for making a huge heroic effort to make sure that's done daily, from the pharmacy to the providers, to the nurses, to people that find medications, hopefully not incidentally, but it happens sometimes. EVS, thank you so much to everyone.
And thank you, Jana. Appreciate the time you took today. And I hope everyone will join us next week when our topic will be why it's not safe to bring your pets from home to put in our MRI. And that's it from us here at the studio.